Hi guys, so I'm here today to do a tag video. I was tagged by Vienna, whose blog is It's a Books World, to do the classics book tag which she actually created. And you know I love a classic, so let's get on with the questions. Question number 1, an overhyped classic you really didn't like. Always a controversial question, but one classic or modern classic that I absolutely despise, despite it having a lot of critical acclaim, is Death of a Salesman, which is a play by Arthur Miller. There aren't a lot of books that I've read that I dislike because I tend to put books down quite quickly if I'm not enjoying them, but this book I had to read back when I was in secondary school and hated everything about it. I hated reading it, I hated studying it, and I wasn't one of those people that hated most of the books they read in school. I enjoyed most of the books I read for my English classes at school, so I don't think it was because I was studying it that I hated it. I just wasn't a fan of the way it was all portrayed. I didn't like the way the characters treated one another, and I find it difficult to enjoy books where there are no sympathetic characters. I can't pretend it wasn't well written, but definitely did not enjoy that experience. So the next question is favourite time period to read about. And this will come as no surprise to you that my favourite books, especially classics, are written in and centred in antiquity, particularly ancient Greece, but I do enjoy Latin literature as well. Next is your favourite fairy tale. I think I'm going to go for one that has been a favourite of mine since I was very young, and it is Snow White. I know there's lots of different versions of this fairy tale. I'm just holding this one up because I have it in an individual copy, and this is illustrated by Camille Rose Garcia and is the version from the Grimm's fairy tale. Just in all its forms, this fairy tale I feel like has always been around in my life. I loved the Disney film when I was a child. I enjoyed reading the Grimm's version. I used to have a children's book that my grandmother gave to me that had the version where she has a sister as well. I think her name was Rose Red or something like that. Now I'm forgetting, that's really bad. I think it's always just held a kind of special place in my heart, especially that version where she has the sister. Just kind of reminds me of being a child, and it's probably one of the first fairy tales I ever read. Next question is, what is the most embarrassing classic you haven't read? Now, embarrassment certainly isn't an emotion I feel often when it comes to unread books, particularly if they're just for enjoyment or general classics. Like, I've never felt embarrassed that I haven't read The Great Gatsby. I literally couldn't care less. But I must say that recently I did have an embarrassed moment when it came to an unread book, because it was a classical Greek play that I hadn't read, which is quite an important Greek play. It comes up a lot in scholarship, especially in the areas I study in, and it was just one of those moments where somebody asked me about it and I was like, oh, I haven't actually read that yet. Somehow it has just managed to pass me by, and I think as someone who considers themselves a Greek scholar in the works, it's definitely something I need to read soon. And it is Lysistrata by Aristophanes. It's a Greek comedy where women take on quite a major and reversed role in Greek society. Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say I haven't read this, but I will be reading it soon. The next question is top 5 classics you need to read soon. First, Aristophanes' Lysistrata. In fact, I'm going to keep this out and read it today. I'd also like to read Mansfield Park soon by Jane Austen. I just finished Northanger Abbey recently and really enjoyed it, and I'm kind of on a want to read more Jane Austen kicks. Next is Giovanni Boccaccio's Decameron, which I've been meaning to read for like a year now. I picked it up last year intending to read it in the summer, and then, you know, life happens, it was kind of chunky and I never got around to it, but I really want to read it. It's a piece of medieval literature about a group of friends that go to stay in a large country house during the plague in Florence, and they essentially just tell each other comical stories. And that's what this is, a collection of their tales. And one that I'm actually already halfway through is Doris's The Library of Greek Mythology. I'm actually almost finished this, and it's kind of a collection of Greek myths and short stories and just all of the like popular Greek myths and some other ones together, written in antiquity as well. And because it's almost like short stories, I kind of put it down one day after reading almost all of it. Like, I think I'm like 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through, and just never picked up that last little bit. So I need to finish this one soon. I would also really like to read Moll Flanders by Daniel Defoe soon. My mum adores this book and just talks about it very highly, as does one of our friends Linda, and they've just got me wanting to read it. I think it basically just tells a sort of unfortunate journeys and incidences of the young woman Moll Flanders, who's born in a prison and kind of abandoned to herself as a baby. Unfortunate things happen in her life and she kind of has to overcome them all, and it was originally written in the 1700s. Question number 7 is favourite modern version of a classic, and I'm sorry to bring this book back up again, but it is the only honest answer, and it is Margaret Atwood's Penelopiad. This is one of my all-time favourite books, and it is Margaret Atwood's retelling of Homer's Odyssey from Odysseus' wife Penelope's perspective, and I shall say no more because I talk about this in like every third video. Question number 8 is worst movie adaptation of a classic, and I'm not really sure what my answer is for this one. I think I'm probably most judgmental when it comes to ancient literature, but I have watched very few film adaptations of ancient books. Otherwise, no film adaptations have particularly offended me. And the final question is your favourite editions of classics which you would like to collect more of. I would really like more of the Everyman's Classics editions, which look like this. I only have 2 so far, but I love matching spines, and they have these really lovely matching spines that go like this. I have the Moonstone by Wilkie Collins and a special edition of Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials, which isn't technically a classic, but they usually publish classics. I would also really like more of these Virago Modern Classics editions, which I only have 1 of so far, and that's Frenchman's Creek by Daphne du Maurier. But they all have these gorgeous different sort of textile designs on each cover, all different, and I just think they're absolutely stunning, and I love dust jacketless hardbacks for some reason. I would also like to try more of Persephone's books, and they publish mainly lesser known classic female authors, and I only have 1 so far, and that's The Blank Wall by Elizabeth Sankey Holding. Probably saying that wrong, but just gorgeous, all in this lovely grey format with a different patterned end paper depending on which book it is. Lastly, the editions of classics that I buy the most of and will probably continue to buy lots of are the Oxford World Classics. I think I have around 20 of these or something like that, but if I'm buying classical literature I usually buy them on these editions unless I'm recommended a different edition, and I have a couple of other books in these editions like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World, but I just love how sleek they are with the little red bit, the little illustrative picture, and then the title, and they just look gorgeous all on the shelf together. But those are all the questions. I'm not going to tag anybody today just because I've been seeing this tag popping up a lot, so I'm not sure who has and hasn't been tagged. But if you do want to do it, I'd highly recommend that you do. It's always nice to see more classic videos on BookTube, and I will link the original blog post down in the description box, so definitely go and check that out, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye guys!